Hei, moi. Olen Tom Dodd, Brittalainen Suojelas Suomessa. Hello, I'm Tom Dodd, the British Ambassador to Finland. Tervetuloa, välkommen. Welcome to this Vasa Energy Talks UK webinar on green energy, designed to set out all the opportunities that Finnish investors have to put money into the UK energy market. Now in the UK, we're very proud of our green record. We're the first country to legislate to reduce carbon and the first major economy to commit to a zero emissions target, in our case in 2050. Last year, Prime Minister Johnson set out an ambitious 10-point plan for green transition. This collectively will leverage some 50 billion euros of private and public money to furnish green transition in areas such as carbon capture, hydrogen, micronuclear and wind. And in that process, there'll be many opportunities for Finnish companies and investors to participate. We're also really proud this year to be hosting with Italy the COP26 conference in Glasgow in November. This is the next major moment for the world to come together to take the significant steps necessary to combat climate change. On that point, it gives me great pleasure to hand over to Mari K. Niemi to lead this discussion. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Dodd. And good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to see so many of you attending our session today. This Energy Vasa Talk webinar is hosted by the UK's Department for International Trade. I'm Mari K. Niemi. I work as a research director in a Helsinki-based independent research organization called E2 Research. That would be E2-tutkimus in Finnish. I will be moderating today's conversation directly from friendly Glasgow, where I live. When it comes to today's topic, Glasgow plays an important role in the UK's journey towards zero carbon economy. Firstly, Glasgow has an important role in the UK's energy sector. This is the case especially in offshore and onshore wind energy and in emerging renewable technologies. Secondly, and this is something we here in Glasgow are really excited about, in November, the UK will host the vital UN climate conference, COP26. There, the world will meet to agree on more ambitious action to tackle climate change. This is the most significant COP since 2015 Paris Agreement, and it will be held right here in Glasgow. The COP26 campaign aims to bring countries together to accelerate progress towards a zero emissions and resilient global economy. They are focused on addressing major challenges in 5 key areas. These are adaptation and resilience, energy transitions, nature, transport, and finance. UK is halfway in its target of net zero emissions by 2050. Significant change is already undertaken, but the country must accelerate in all areas of the economy and society in order to deliver a resilient zero carbon UK in time. This requires collaboration across borders and investment, which present significant economic opportunities for both businesses and investors. I hope that after this webinar, you will have a flavor of the opportunities that lie in the UK energy sector, insights on what to take into account when aiming to expand in this sector in the UK, and understanding on what support there is available to assist your UK plans. We have interesting topics and fine speakers coming up. Let them act as a catalyst for your UK plans and spark further discussion beyond this webinar. If you have any questions or comments, please type them into chat box. We will try to answer them through chat or ask them from our speakers. In a minute, we will hear from Lauren Luscombe more about the business opportunities in the UK energy sector and what has changed in doing business after Brexit and the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement coming into effect. Lauren Luscombe is a senior lawyer in the construction and engineering team at Burges Salmon. She has spent the last decade advising on energy infrastructure projects and has spent time working as part of the legal team at global energy firm Engie. Lauren is particularly interested in new and emerging technologies. Her CV is truly inspiring. She advised on some of the first major battery storage projects in the UK and has since worked for clients on several innovative projects, including the rollout of specialist wave technologies and the world's largest green hydrogen project. Warm welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you so much to Energievasa for the opportunity to speak with you today. As you just heard, my name is Lauren Luscombe and I'm a lawyer at Burges Salmon. We're a leading independent UK law firm with over 800 people across our offices in Bristol, Edinburgh and London. Energy and renewables is a key area of focus for us, and we deal with a really wide range of projects in this sector. Much of our work has an international element of some sort. The slide shows you just a snapshot of our work in 2020. A service we offer which I thought might be of interest to you all is our Launchpad service, which we offer regularly to help international clients expand into the UK. This is a service which combines a full suite of legal advice with project management support, working closely with the UK's Department for International Trade. Today, firstly, I wanted to give you an overview of the UK policy backdrop. As part of this, I'll touch on the UK-EU Trade and Cooperation Agreement, or the TCA, net zero legislation, commitments made in the latest budget announcements, and a policy document called the Construction Playbook. I'll then move on to some of the market opportunities which we expect to be major areas of growth in the UK. What I want to emphasise first and foremost is that the UK is still as open for business and as keen to trade as it has ever been. Whilst Brexit of course brings a few new factors into the equation, from what we're seeing, our international trade is only going to continue to grow. Getting the right support will help companies take full advantage of what our market has to offer. So what is the TCA? It's a document which governs trading relationships between the EU and the UK. It sets the agenda for trade and investment and includes terms relating specifically to energy. Some of its main features are shown on the slide here. They include ensuring collaboration in relation to offshore renewables, integrating renewables in the electricity market, and promoting research, development and innovation in relation to energy efficiency and renewables.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We have some questions for you. It sounds like the TCA is largely policy focused. Are there any clear practical commitments which have been made under the TCA so far?
The short answer is yes. Of course, we're in the very early days of this relationship, and in the most part, we'll have to wait and see what will be rolled out to achieve the policy goals. However, a particular commitment worth mentioning is the agreement to form a forum for technical discussions in relation to the North Seas region, particularly in relation to offshore grid development and renewable energy potential. This is going to build on the existing North Seas energy cooperation. Now turning to the UK, I wanted to mention a policy known as net zero. In June 2019, the UK passed a law requiring the government to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2050. In other words, by 2050, any emissions we produce must be offset by removing an equivalent amount of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere, for example, by planting trees or using technology like carbon capture and storage. Net zero will be the single biggest UK policy and legal driver over the next few decades. It's going to impact everyone based in and doing business in the UK in all aspects of life. Net zero is of course impacting on the projects that we work on and is high on our agenda. The road to achieving net zero presents challenges of course, but it's clear that getting the right support and collaborating across industries can open up huge possibilities in emerging and adapting markets. It's fair to say that different sectors are adjusting to net zero at slightly different rates, but all sectors, including our own in energy, need to flex to accommodate that. Managing interfaces is absolutely crucial as separate supply chains increasingly need to work together and widen their skill set to ensure the success of a project. This is having a knock-on effect on the way that risk is shared. In many areas, we're seeing a shake-up of the established contracting norms to facilitate new cross-sector ways of working. Next, I wanted to touch on the UK's 2021 government spending budget, which was announced in March. Here are some highlights which I thought would be of interest. Firstly, a new UK infrastructure bank will be set up, with £12 billion in funds for the net zero transition process. Secondly, 8 new free ports have been announced. These are going to have different tax rules than the rest of the UK, allowing the import of products without applying tax before those products are processed within the UK. Our fund has also been committed to a competition for developing floating offshore wind. This is a part of the wider government aim to get offshore wind generating enough electricity to power every UK home by 2030. Finally, it's worth mentioning proposed visa reforms, which are aimed to help attract and retain highly skilled workers. So you can see that renewable energy is right up there on the UK government agenda, more prominently and urgently than ever before. The Construction Playbook is a government guidance document about sourcing and contracting public works projects, but there are a lot of principles here which will be equally applicable in the private sector. It was published only in December, so it gives you a very up-to-date picture of common principles in UK contracts. You'll see from the slide here that it sets out 14 key policies. They bring together best practices and reforms with a focus on safety, efficiency, and long-term planning. I wanted to pick out just 3 points for you today. Firstly, point 4, harmonising, digitising, and rationalising demand. There's a real drive to collaborate, develop, and adopt shared requirements and common standards. This should in turn enable components and practices from a variety of suppliers to be used together across a range of different projects, thereby reducing risk and improving efficiency and predictability. Next, tenet and 11, effective contracting and risk allocation. Now, these really go hand in hand. The focus is on making sure that the best party to take on a risk is the party that holds that risk in the contract. Contractual risk allocation will be increasingly subject to scrutiny to ensure it's been informed by genuine and meaningful market engagement. Providing early warnings of issues affecting a project is also seen as absolutely fundamental to proper risk sharing. This is something we've seen at the heart of construction contracting in the UK over the last few years, and a lot of our industry standard form contracts stay true to this, with real impacts for those who don't communicate risks properly.
There is another question. I imagine the UK must have relatively well-established principle for the allocation of risk. How responsive do you find the UK market to be in terms of accommodating the need of foreign investors and contractors?
The freedom to agree on appropriate risk allocation in commercial contracts is a key principle underpinning the law in all 3 of our legal jurisdictions in the UK. The energy market evolves quickly and nothing is set in stone. It's clear that the government is encouraging parties to take a step back and ensure that risk allocation is reasonable, particularly in the case of the emerging and evolving markets like those I mentioned earlier, which we'll continue to see in the light of net zero. Sensible discussions about risk are incredibly important. We're seeing a lot of organisations reallocating resource, for example, from oil and gas to renewables. And the risk profiles of these 2 industries are quite different, and I found it's been really helpful to have open, collaborative discussions about how to manage project risk. There's really no difference here between these discussions, and there's discussions between contracting parties of different nationalities. Each come with their own expectations and norms. So I'd say this is a great time to be entering the UK market from other jurisdictions. With the climate emergency and our net zero target, the UK urgently needs new investment in energy infrastructure to replace the old way of doing things. Now I'm going to take you through some major areas of growth. Battery storage has experienced a real coming of age in the last decade. Recently, we've seen investors joining the battery storage market on a subsidy-free basis, with many realising that battery storage can offer solid returns and inherent risks can be managed. Frequently, we're seeing batteries used to complement wider renewable investment strategies. Co-locating storage assets with other technologies is increasingly popular, both in new build and retrofitting. This interest in the sector continues to grow. Recent legislation allows more projects to bypass certain planning requirements. To put some numbers on the impact of this, planning applications for large-scale battery storage projects in the UK last year represented 1.2 gigawatts of capacity. Electric vehicles are also fast becoming prominent in the UK market, following the government's announcement to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030. With major UK brands such as Jaguar Land Rover and Ford outlining plans to eliminate petrol and diesel engines from their ranges ahead of this 2030 ban, electric vehicles are quickly going to become a part of everyday life in Britain. The UK is ideally placed to capitalise on this industry, but we need a lot of new infrastructure to make it a success. This, of course, creates new opportunities across the whole of the energy and transport sectors. To name but a few, there's increased demand in the network, a need for new charging points, and a need for more batteries to ensure capacity. Now, we like to talk about weather in the UK, and what we lack in quality time in the sun, we make up for in energy generation through our wind farms. The UK is currently one of the highest offshore wind power generators in the world. It only plans to grow this further as it continues along its path to achieving net zero by increasing funding and introducing planning reforms. We're certainly seeing interest in the sector increasing exponentially. Hydrogen is a real hot topic in the UK right now and is expected to play a significant role in the UK's transition to net zero. It's set to be a busy year for the industry, as you can see from the slide, and there's real optimism across the energy sector for commercial scale rollout for heating, energy, transport, and even more. We already have a very active discussion on the potential for hydrogen in the UK. It's very accessible to those who are interested. For example, lawyers in my firm sit on industry groups, including the UK HFCA. It's worth looking out for their webinars and publications if this is an area of interest to your business. On top of these opportunities, there are many more technologies which are active, but which we didn't have space to include. Suffice to say that the UK energy market is adapting constantly in the move towards new technologies. Within my team, for example, we're advising some long-term energy clients on projects such as vertical farming, so the market is very dynamic at the moment.
This all is sounding really positive for external investors and suppliers. What would you say, how can Finnish energy companies find partners in the UK energy market?
Well, a great starting point would be to keep abreast of updates from key industry bodies and major players in the market. Some of them I mentioned today, like the UK HFCA. There are a whole host of seminars and networking events out there. A lot of these are still running online, so they're very easily accessible wherever you are. Of course, you can come and talk to the Department of International Trade and to professional service providers such as us. We've got plenty of contacts within the market and can make introductions if you need them. But also on a more formal level, if you're looking to take the first step into UK expansion, then do feel free to contact our Launchpad team, who I mentioned at the start. I'm going to leave you with this snapshot now, and I hope that today's session has sparked your interest in UK investment. The UK is still very much open for business, Brexit or no Brexit, and there are some fantastic opportunities for investors and suppliers to take part in our thriving energy market. We'd be delighted to hear from you if there's anything we can do to help you and your business. And thank you again so much to Energy Vasa for inviting me to talk to you today.
Now I would like to introduce our case company speaker, who has just recently returned back to Vasa from the UK. Jarkko Aro is a director of sales and operations at Veos IC Electrical Ltd and has spent nearly 4 years working for the company in the UK. In his current position, Jarkko is responsible of company's sales and operations, as well as Veo Group's business development and strategy. Jarkko has spent 21 years at Veo Group and has held several management positions within the group. He holds a Master of Science in Electrical Engineering and Leadership MBA and has extensive international business and business development experience in various countries. Jarkko also has a long experience and know-how on power generation industry and marine applications.
My name is Jarkko Aro. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to share my experience in the UK business, where I've been living the past 3.5 years. Veo has been delivering projects to UK since 2007. Most of this has been related to bio or waste to energy power plant automation electrifications. During 2015, Veo increased cooperation with its long-term installation partner in UK called IC Electrical. By 2017, Veo established a very good continuous project flow together with the partner, and Veo started to consider further investments into the market, which actually resulted Veo to acquire a majority of the ICE shares. And the target actually for Veo was to use ICE as a platform to enter further and wider in the UK market. I personally took up to this challenge and went to UK with my family in August 2017. So what I learned from there, the first indications of the really bureaucratic economy came when we tried to first rent a property there. That was really difficult. And later on, when I was even trying to open a bank account, it was not so easy. So it is really far more difficult and complex economy compared to what we are used to in Finland. So those were my first lessons learned in the country. In addition, of course, driving the opposite way, opposite side of the road. How to build a business in UK. First of all, if you think about the economy itself, it is massive. We can calculate it is estimated to be 10 times bigger than Finnish economy. It has population 68 million people, so again, over 10 times more compared to Finland. And still yet the country is geographically 1.4 times smaller than Finland. So if you put all those into scale, you think there's a lot of opportunities, big cities, rather short geographical distances. So as said earlier, the UK economy is conservative, bureaucratic. So be aware of that if you are going to enter the UK markets. And it has also very long history and traditions, which they still cherish. And they also love paper. Lots of paper. They even still use checks for some of the payments in the government side. That was quite surprising for us also to notice. Receive a check in the post. And you should also consider that there's a lot of lawyers or solicitors, as they call them. Even in the smaller contracts, there might be solicitors involved. And normally they tend to prolong the process and make it quite complex. Because all the contracts are much more wider and much more in detail and require a lot of time to go through all of those in the business. This all up, in my personal opinion, to the fact that there's a lot of people and there's not much trust to people in the business. So everything really needs to be proven black and white on the paper. So if you are mistaken, go there like a blue-eyed, expecting to do business similar way than in the Nordic countries, I'm sure you will end up with troubles later on. So be really prepared, read a lot of legal paper, and use solicitors in your business. Overall, if you are not in the UK inside and you consider starting the business there without any references, it will be quite difficult. So I would rather recommend that you will have some kind of local connections there, some agents, partners, which have already in there know the client network and introduce further in detail to a key personnel inside the UK. This is just because a lot of business still goes through the people, and it's really important to know the right people because they still make the decisions. And there's also a lot of competition, and there's already established supply chains in place, so it will be difficult to penetrate through unless you know key people there. Of course, you can be successful if you have very unique products and services which directly meet to the market demands. And that secondly, also there is the thing as money talks, as in many businesses. So if you get the opportunity, you get the RFQ, and you know the market price level, which is also very important to know, then you really have a chance to buy in some critical first references. Then I would like to talk about a little bit what I experienced related to the Brexit and COVID impact to business. I have to say the last year has been one of the most difficult in my life. living almost 6 months in a full lockdown. In March, April, when the first lockdown started, the whole UK economy stopped. Most of the companies were on hold, not doing anything, and the government started to support those companies. However, we wanted to keep the business rolling, so we need to create a different kind of guidelines how to work under the pandemic and still keep the business working at a certain level. During this last year, UK government put a lot of money, invested a lot to keep the companies, most of them alive throughout the time. But what I think is when the economy now gets back on its feet, there might be a payback time later on. So government would like to get this money someday back, at least some of it. So it might be increased taxes or something similar. But overall now, looks like in the UK the pandemic is fading away. The rapid vaccine rollout has been extremely good this year. They expect in the summer it to return like an almost normal life, the new normal under the pandemic. And we have seen also this in the business, so we have received a lot of RFQs, so it's definitely starting to pick up the business now. So what about this Brexit then? I know it has been a huge amount of time and money outside the European Union and the UK put on this. So after all, I'm happy to see that there is a trade agreement now between UK and EU. Of course, it impacted in a way that in January, February, the trade shrunk quite a lot, almost 20%, because the companies just started to adapt the new trade agreement. But now it looks like the trade has been increasing again, and they expect it to return almost to normal levels in the future. Of course, this is not the case for all of the businesses. Some of the businesses are still suffering if they didn't get the right trade agreement terms in their businesses. So what I think now in the future, I think the UK business will definitely benefit from the government investments, and I think government will support more the local businesses, be more patriotic inside the UK. They want to see UK companies be successful. If you look at the UK houses there's always white steam coming out. It means that most of the residential houses in UK are using gas to heat the houses. Even inside the house, even the ovens are gas burned. That was also one of quite surprising for us to see gas ovens there in the brand new UK houses. But this is still the case, so consider that what we have in the Nordic countries. We have the district heating solutions, quite high technology there, which could be easily adapted into the UK. And we see that definitely there are companies like Fortum and Vattenfall who are already proceeding in this direction in the UK. So there's a lot of business coming in that sector. Then there's a big investment, HS2, the new UK high-speed train development from London to Midlands. And later stages it will reach the Glasgow in Scotland also. So all this around this new track building, there's a lot of additional business to be picked up if you are working that kind of sector. In the power generation sector, UK is putting a lot of effort and supporting wind farms, especially the offshore wind farms, and also to heat energy recovery power plants, energy from waste power plants. There's a lot of investments coming still on that sector. The increase of electrical vehicles and all these renewables will also, think about it, will create some grid stabilization requirements and strengthening the grid. And that should ultimately create requirements for energy storage like businesses and investments. And then finally, there's this Boris Johnson's 10-point plan to reach the global climate agreement targets. So as a summary, I should say that the UK is a very big market. It provides a lot of opportunities, but also it has a lot of competition, both local and international. So in order to be successful, you really need to stand out on the normal level with your products and services, or alternatively, you should have a very good partnership network already in place before entering the UK. If we're already in the UK, the future looks quite positive. Thank you very much for your attention.
Our next speaker is Victoria Zastava. Victoria is a foreign direct investment professional who leads the energy and infrastructure team for the Department for International Trade's Investment Services team, IST. The IST specializes in providing a full range of investment advisory services to overseas companies that are entering and growing in the UK in the following fields and markets: renewable energy, resource efficiency, circular economy, and sustainable construction and infrastructure. Victoria's team presents the UK market proposition to international investors, provides in-depth sector advice, and offer project and account management support for the implementation of inward investment. Victoria, to start with, can you tell us a little bit what is DIT's Investment Services team?
So the Investment Services team, or IST, is a service that offers dedicated assistance to companies on every aspect of growing their business in the UK for the first time, or indeed developing their presence once they're here. Our advice is free of charge and confidential in nature, and we really endeavour to tailor an end-to-end service designed specifically for each company, allowing them to access the right band of knowledge that's available. Our value is really to demonstrate the value that the UK can offer and to give Finnish companies the information they need to make business decisions and to simplify their investment journey. Once we understand what the requirement is, we support by researching and presenting a wide range of information that really depicts the opportunity for companies. We can bring together a team of relevant colleagues to help de-risk and support companies' market entry or indeed their UK expansion. We do this initially by assigning a single point of contact or project manager in the UK to help companies navigate the government and business support landscape and bring together the right team of people to help tailor information on market opportunities, sector trends, and offer the best routes to market. We are supported by a market intelligence unit called Knowledge Lab, and they can help us customize the market research, and they also have access to a really wide variety of business intelligence products which they can utilize. We also have a partnerships team who work very closely with all the local partners and stakeholders, including local authorities, devolved administrations, centres of excellence, and innovation hubs to really help companies access the business support they need both locally as well as nationally. The IST also has offices across the UK, which really gives us extensive coverage. It affords us a really deep understanding of the strengths and capabilities across the UK, and it also allows us to meet companies and discuss their requirements close to their location of interest, and in normal times even setting up visits to certain sites or offices. My team within the IST is the Energy and Infrastructure team, and we cover everything from renewable energy generation and all its associated infrastructure, such as offshore wind, energy from waste, hydrogen, electrical networks and energy storage, as well as covering civil nuclear and oil and gas, and the infrastructure sectors such as construction and the built environment, and transport services such as railways and airports. So really, no matter what field the company is operating in, we will have someone who will understand the landscape in the UK and will be really keen to discuss your plans. And there really is no better time to do so. Decarbonisation is set to be one of the most important drivers of change in the UK economy up to 2050. And this transition to clean growth is creating huge opportunities for investment. Our strategies for clean growth and achieving net zero by 2050 are detailed in the 10-point plan, and also the Powering Our Net Zero Future policy papers. We, of course, were the first G7 country to set into law the target of reaching net zero emissions by 2050. And the UK government has committed £12 billion worth of investment into the agenda. So please do come to the IST to find out more.
What support is there available to companies investing in the UK's energy sector?
So our service portfolio is quite far-reaching, actually. We can provide information on accessing and quantifying market opportunities in the UK and targeting the right channels for growth. We can support relationship building by introducing new people and organisations to help take the business forward. We can help with the day-to-day practicalities of setting up in the UK, whether that's registering a business or structuring the company to suit its needs, or even perhaps setting up a bank account. We can carry out detailed locational analysis, so we can compare different locations internationally or domestically, and provide information on local planning procedures for new buildings. And we really can do everything from a one-person office to a large-scale plant or facility. We can provide detailed explanations of our tax system in the UK. We have a tax specialist who can help compare the tax regimes in different countries, and also provide information on the relevant incentives and allowances that are on offer. We also have information on the UK visa system, and again, we can introduce our visa specialists who can provide information and guidance on different visas that are available, whether you're an investor, an entrepreneur, a company employee, or business visitor. We have contacts at a lot of the top recruitment firms that have specialisms in the energy sector. We have contacts at the top universities as well as local colleges. So again, we can provide introductions and overviews of government programs that will support workforce development and workforce training that can really help maintain long-term competitiveness of the company. Finally, we have a capital investment team. So if you're looking to raise finance in the UK, whether that be through a bank or high net worth individuals, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, we work through all those avenues and can have that conversation. So the early stages of decision making is IST often provide a lot of this information in the form of a detailed or tailored market proposal. And I wanted to give you an example. In this instance, it was for a Chinese wind turbine manufacturer. They were interested in the UK market, and we provided quite detailed information, as you will probably see from these slides. We covered the UK market as a whole, the floating offshore wind market. We provided detailed information on sector events and organisations. We covered test sites across the UK, as well as information on suppliers and key work packages and existing supply chain capabilities. We provided an overview of national funding and incentives, so information on the corporation tax, R&D, as well as that kind of local information on areas that were of particular interest to the company. And that included information on the talent pool, what engineering students there were available across the UK, and what the visa environment was currently like. So, you know, it's a really broad spectrum of information. And as I've explained before, it's about kind of tailoring that for each individual case, so the company gets exactly what it needs. But our service isn't just about providing information. It is really about people and contacts as well. And the UK has a rich ecosystem of trade associations and networks that IST can help facilitate introductions to. This is just an example of some of them, but you know, there's also a wide network of business support available through local and national government, which we can also connect to.
Could you give me a live example of a foreign company investing in the UK energy sector and how you and your team have supported their market entry.
Thank you, Mari. A really good example is a US incorporated company that we're working with at the moment that is engaged in the production of low net carbon transportation fuels, and that's derived from waste feedstock. The UK became a highly desirable market for the company when government in the UK added aviation and heavy goods to the renewable transport fuel obligation and an incentive mechanism. So since 2017, IST has been providing quite far-reaching support to the company, initially helping them identify an appropriate site against their detailed specification. And the company is now actually settled on a location in the northwest, and we've made introductions to relevant local stakeholders. The investment now represents a 600 million production facility, and it's going to be creating 100 new jobs. So while this fuel is chemically identical to standard jet fuel, they were using a waste as a feedstock, which allows them to qualify for the renewables fuel credits. And we were able to provide quite a lot of information about the support that was available and the incentive mechanisms. And now we're also working with the company to explore how we can, even further improve the carbon score of the fuel they're producing by potentially incorporating the facility into a CCUS project or other solutions. So our engagement with the company has been quite broad. We've introduced them to DIT's renewable energy sector team, our capital investment team. We've also made introductions to other government departments such as BEIS and the Department for Transport. And actually recently they produced a press article that featured in the national press actually, and we were able to secure support from the minister, from the DFT at rather short notice. So I just wanted to give you an example really to illustrate the breadth of support that the IST can provide. So it really just leaves me to sort of reiterate that our service is free of charge, it's commercial in confidence, and we are here and very willing to talk to you. Our email address is inquiries@invest-trade.uk, or you can contact us through the investment staff at the British Embassy in Helsinki. We look forward to hearing from you. As I said earlier, the UK is a really very exciting place to be investing in the energy market at the moment. Thank you.
Wow, this was an absolutely fantastic and eye-opening session we've just heard. Thank you so much for the speakers for sharing your thoughts and insights with us today. This inspiring session gave us a flavor of the key pillars of the UK energy sector and what future opportunities lie within that. How much support there is available to help you to get started or growing in the UK, and valuable experiences and views from Veo, which has already conquered the UK market. It is easy to conclude that the UK energy sector clearly offers a vast opportunity to explore for Finnish companies working in this field. It is also a fact that the UK cannot reach its net zero target alone. New innovative solutions and support from international companies is needed to accomplish this goal. If you wish to discuss further, please do not hesitate to be in touch with DIT Finland, Mari and Sara. They are happy to discuss more and connect you with the UK networks and experts. Once more, thank you for all our experts, Ambassador Dodd, Lauren Luscombe, Jarkko Aro and Victoria Zastava, and thank you for Energy Vaasa and DIT Finland for facilitating this opportunity. Let's continue the dialogue. We hope to meet you in Vaasa for the next Energy Week in March 2022. Thank you all for attending.